Oh, sorry, dog. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Come on. Get out of the way. I told you you needed to get out of the way.
I'm very sorry. You're okay? That's on camera, so you forgive me? Your tail's wagging. I stepped on the dog's tail, so off to a great start.
She'll get over it.
Hello, friends. Welcome back to the Dork Side. I'm here on the casting couch with Travis, and I have a regular-sized beer, and we're going to answer your most frequently asked questions about Trav, how he's doing, and what happened on that fateful day in the Canadian wilderness. It's a very casual video, so I may not even edit it. I don't know. I just stepped on the dog, so that's a thing. I've gone through the comments of the video. You may remember Travis as the one who got the Africa Twin on top of his leg and then decided to alligator roll himself underneath. And alligators roll to kill their... You'll figure it out. Anyway, and I got the same questions like 4,000 times in the comments. And I know that you guys want to see how Trav's doing and get an update on how he's doing because he's not really posting on his channel right now. So that's what we're doing today, answering your questions and just giving you a general update on the Travis. So let's just start with that. How are you doing? Give us an update.
I'm actually doing really great. I'm feeling good. The things that the doctor told me I would experience as my leg heals are happening. Like I do get nerve pain twinges once in a while. Those are fun. Muscle spasms, things like that. But for the most part, aside from my leg, I feel really great. And even, especially now that I'm in this air boot, I'm doing good.
It's a Reebok pump boot.
It is, yeah, right there. Can you see that on the camera? There's pump right there. I can pump it up. It's like an Air beard.
Wow. Well, any other updates? How have you been in the interim? How have things gone since you got home?
Bored out of my mind. I just had my first post-op follow-up today with my doctor and surgical team down here. I'm doing that up at OHSU at Orthopedics. I still cannot put any weight on my leg whatsoever until at least the 14th of November, which is my next follow-up appointment. So, it being my right leg, that means I cannot drive. So it's basically COVID protocols all over again. I am literally stuck in my house. At the most, I go down my driveway to grab my mail, but other than that, I cannot leave. However, I have had plenty of people coming to visit, which has been mighty nice.
That's good. And some better than others. He's really hoping I'll leave real soon.
You brought pizza. I don't care.
Yeah, it's true. I did.
You can stay as long as you want.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so I know people are wondering, and honestly, I've barely had a chance to talk to you about it, about what happened on the bridge from your perspective. So can you just kind of walk us through at least how the accident occurred? I know your memory of afterward is a little fuzzy, and I can kind of fill that in because I was there. Mm-hmm. But how did you end up there in the first place on the ground, as far as you remember? We
were at the Get Lost, Go Find Yourself event up North Island, Vancouver, BC, for Critter Moto. And moto camping, we had ridden up there, and having a great that first night. It was a lot of fun. The first night we were there, we had a lot of fun. The following morning, we got up and we were going to go for a ride to, what was the name of that town? It's like a historical...
Telegraph Cove.
That's the one, Telegraph Cove. And we were going to take the GPX track there, the off-road portion of the track, and it wasn't like it was off-road. It was very tame, gravel, dirt, whatever. Really just a easy, brainless ride. And some of it is a reclaimed railroad system where they had turned the old railroad bed into gravel. The bridges still had the rails on them, but there was, large patches of concrete in between the rail beds. And I honestly don't remember anything after the bike did this until after surgery. But what I'm guessing happened is my wheel got too close to one of the sides of the rails because it lips up and it's metal, and it had rained, and I think my wheel hit that and it just went out from underneath me. And it doesn't seem like it's that fast on video. It looks incredibly slow, looks incredibly easy. Sometimes shit just happens. And when it did that, I had no time to react, and it slammed my head into the ground, cracking my helmet, and I got a concussion from that. But from what people have told me is, as I was sliding with the bike, what I'm guessing happened is my leg twisted under the bike, and it's not a fracture on my tibia and fibula. It's full break on both of those. plus a crack that runs down my tibia to my ankle. So not only did I get 2 breaks, I also got a vertical fracture plus ankle damage.
I can tell you what happened after that because we get the same questions a lot. Trav goes down. Eric is behind him. I'm behind Eric. I'm like, I got you, dude. I got you, dude. I roll up, try to get away from the railroad track, put my kickstand down. By the time I get there, Eric's already next to Travis. And Travis is saying, I need help up. And I'm still on the back side of the bike, and Eric is between him and me. And I just am trying to assess whether we need to get the bike off of him before I come around to try to help him up, because it's a 2-person job and it's going to be easier for me on the side that I'm on already. So I'm like, is the bike on you? Trav says, I need help up. I said, I know, but do we need to get the bike off you? Something to that effect. He said, I don't think so. So I came around. And again, we've dropped our bikes 1,000 times. So at this point, it's like, oh, you dumbass.
Yes.
You know, like, we'll get it off you and we'll keep riding. So I'm like, okay, dude, whatever. I come around, and you can see it in the video. I'm like, okay, Dur, are you okay? And then he pulls his leg out. And I can instantly see that it is bad. His foot is 90 degrees in the wrong direction. And you can hear me say in the video, oh, fuck, dude, you're fucked. Like, it goes from like, oh, shit, to, oh, shit. Like, shit's going down. And so I say, we have to hit the button, dude. Because earlier in the year, and this is relevant context, not to monopolize your video, but this is relevant context. When we were in the desert with the heat stroke thing, I suggested at one point that we should hit the button and maybe see about getting some help. And Travis said, don't do that. I'm not going to pay for an ambulance. I can get out of here. Just give me a minute, whatever. And so that was me saying to him, you don't get to decide whether or not we hit the button. I'm hitting the button.
Which was the right decision, because at that moment, I was not in my brain. I don't even remember that at all. So he made the absolute right decision to do that.
And so I got my helmet off. I set it down, because we also made a pact on the last thing, and I said this in the video, that we would film whatever happened.
That's correct.
So that we could use it or not later on. But so I just set my helmet down where it could see us.
We did that pact last year when Mike broke his leg.
That's right, we did. I just set it down where it could see us, and I pulled out my phone and I hit the SOS button in the InReach app. And it was cloudy that day. We were in open area on the bridge, and you got to understand that adrenaline was flowing. So it felt like it took like 4 minutes, and I was like, oh shit, it's not sending. I think it was probably more like 45 seconds. And if you have an InReach, you know it takes several minutes to send a message most of the time. And that's when Eddie said, oh, we had cell phone service at that store just up the road yesterday, so I just go call. And I was like, yes, that makes... Because InReach is just going to have to call the local authorities and send them out. If Eddie can just get there and call them directly, that saves time. And it doesn't hurt to have multiple irons in the fire, as it were, because Eric volunteered to go back to camp and see if there was anybody there that could help. There wasn't, because everybody was already gone. So he went, and then Eddie helped me get the bike up, and then he left after he dropped a pin so that he could tell them where to come and find us. And they were there within 15 minutes of Eddie making the call, which they were all volunteer firefighters, which means they were all at home. I asked them. They all had to get in, get suited up, and get to Trav, and they did all that in 15 minutes. It was very, because we're in the middle of nowhere, northern BC. It was really impressive. So
and shout out to the volunteer fire department up there. I mean, volunteer firefighters everywhere, and volunteer EMTs, all that stuff everywhere. Shout out to all of you. You guys have an impossibly difficult job. I know this firsthand because I used to do that when I lived up in the San Juan Islands. But up there, it's remote.
Pizza. Could you get that and
Yep.
cut it up and bring me a few slices?
I'll go get your pizza for
okay,
you.
Could you chew my food and spit it in my mouth?
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'll get it. I'll get it. Pizza. Yeah, pizza. We're letting it cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, paramedics came. I'm not going to get too graphic, but they don't give the same meds in Canada that they do in America when you're hurt. And I was really surprised, which is probably partially why Travis doesn't remember. Because he was in a lot of pain. Like, Eddie and I were, it was hard to even be there. And at one point I asked one of the guys, I was like, do you guys not give morphine? Like, because when Mike broke his leg, they gave him morphine before they did anything. And they were like putting Trav's foot back in the right direction and putting it in a splint. And
They had to set my foot before they could transport me.
They started with laughing gas, I'm pretty sure. And then gave you something a little stronger that was an inhalant, but they never injected you with anything.
Yeah, I literally don't remember any. The only way I remember anything, it's the best way I could describe it is I remember it as if it's a fuzzy dream that you can't remember. So that's the best way I can describe it.
It was so unsettling. I didn't even bother to I didn't even look at that file, and because I didn't want to listen to it again.
Yeah.
And you'll have it on. You actually have it on film if you decide you want to watch it, because we were shooting with your camera too. But
I don't think that I actually do.
I don't think you should. Yeah. Anyway, so that was not awesome. But they loaded him up in the ambulance, got him out of there, took him to the hospital. The other relevant thing, and the people that we want to say thank you to, is by the time so Tall Man Moto and my ADV 360 got Trav's bike back to camp, and they just rode 2 up, so they finally got to ride nuts to butts, a lifelong dream of theirs. And by the time I got back, so we went to Trav, dropped stuff off, figured out what the plan was, figured out where he was going, and then we came back to camp because Eddie and I were going to ride down to Campbell River because that's where Trav was going that night. They had, Pete in particular, had already figured out what they were going to do with your motorcycle. And a big shout out and thank you to Critter Moto, who helped with that, to the Adventure Cooperative. Ian, Motorcycles and Pancakes, was instrumental in connecting the final dots on that.
Yep.
Which actually we can probably answer that question now. So what the biggest question, number one question, is probably boots. The second biggest question is, how do you get the motorcycle home?
Yeah, so those of you that don't know, my motorcycle isn't even back in the United States at the time of filming this. At least half of my gear is still with it, including my good camera. And possibly even my helmet camera. I haven't even seen it.
I gave that to you.
Okay, so that means it's in the Tillamook bag.
It's in the Tillamook bag, yeah.
Okay.
I forgot about your big camera, or I would have grabbed it.
No, it is what it is.
There's some stuff going on.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Don't know if you heard or not, but
yeah.
Some stuff was going down.
Some stuff was going on.
Yeah. So all of that stuff at the time of recording this is still up in Vancouver, BC. A group called the Adventure Cooperative offered to transport that back down to the States for me, because they were on like November 1st, they have to be someplace down in California for an event anyway, and they're coming basically right past the area that I live in. So huge shout out. I mean, all of this stuff just came together and just happened. No question. We didn't need to ask for help. The ADV community is just like that sometimes. People just pitch in and help when they know people need help. It's just, I'm getting chills right now just talking about it. It's amazing.
They had a bus.
Yeah,
worth mentioning.
They travel in a converted bus, and this bus is like Mad Max no joke bus. It's super cool. So they, on their way back through at the end of this month, being October, they are going to be dropping all of that stuff off for me. So as of right now, I still don't have most of my gear or my bike, but it is coming back.
And that was huge, because I was literally at the hospital calling rental truck companies and trying to figure out how I could get you and I and 2 motorcycles back to Oregon.
I do remember you telling me that, actually.
And it was like, most of them were like, well, you can't drive out of the province, so I was going to have to like go to Vancouver and then switch rigs or have someone meet us. Or it was turning into a whole thing.
It was going to be a nightmare.
It was going to be, it was like $1,000, and it's like, ugh. So that they really came in clutch, which was awesome. So thanks to them.
Yes, they did. And not just Adventure Cooperative, but he mentioned Ian from Motorcycles and Pancakes, and Pete, who is Soilsman on Instagram, and my ADV 360, also Small Man Moto, Corey, and Tall Man Moto, Matt. Just so many people just came together and literally just made it happen without even being asked. Thank you to all of you.
Yeah, that was awesome. Okay, number one question. What boots were you wearing?
Alpenstars Tech 7s.
Okay, and the more important question is, do you think different boots could have prevented your injury?
Absolutely not. There is no boot, even motocross boots, would not have prevented this injury, because once my foot was under the 550-pound bike on top of metal rails and sliding, my leg twisted. There is no motorcycle boot, I don't care how much money you spend, that will prevent legs from breaking in that instance. It just won't. Had I not been wearing my Tech set, I also have Forma Adventure boots. Had I been wearing those instead of the Tech 7s, my leg would have been crushed. So I am a huge believer in getting the most amount of protection as you can get without sacrificing too much comfort. I am not sponsored by Alpenstars, but I'm here to tell you, get Alpenstars Tech 7s. They are all-day comfortable. They have that biomechanical hinge, so you can almost hike into things. You can definitely wear them around camp. And they have almost full motocross protection. Get Tech 7s. That is what I'm going to be replacing my boots with.
And honestly, the nature of this injury, it's a miracle. Something has to give in that situation. So it's either your leg bones or it's your knee.
Yep.
And then I don't know if you're walking again.
I'm thankful it was my leg bones instead of my knee.
Yeah. You want to talk about your other gear? We talked about your helmet. What was your helmet?
The Climb Krios Pro. It is now cracked. It is no longer usable because of that. So it will become a trophy on my wall.
Yeah, don't be Travis and actually replace your helmet anytime you crash in it. He has to this time because it's actually broken.
Right.
He has been known to put it back on afterward with a Band-Aid.
Band-Aids work.
Yeah, they fix compressed foam.
Right.
Yeah, okay. What else were you... Because you definitely hit your elbow, right?
My shoulder.
It went down your shoulder? Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Was it sore?
It was... shoulder was a little sore, but nothing to report.
I honestly think your head took the brunt based on the way, in the video, your body whips down to the ground. Mm-hmm. Right on concrete, too. So.
Well, I don't know if I told you this. I told Ian this, and I think I told Matt this, but while I was in the hospital, maybe I did tell you, I thought like I had a pimple on the side of my head, and it had like a hard nub on the end, and I went to pull it out. I had a piece of the bridge, like a large piece of the wooden part of the bridge stuck in the side of my face still. So it must, when I went down, I must have hit right on the corner of that 10 by 10, right where in the opening of the face box of the helmet. That got me.
Yeah, you were bleeding when we got your helmet off.
Which that's probably what it was.
Yeah, and I thought it was coming from your ear, so I was pretty worried for a minute. But I realized you were just cut, so it was just kind of down here. But I didn't see that, so clearly I didn't look that closely.
I'm the one that found it. The doctors at the hospital didn't even see it.
Well, there you go.
I found it after surgery.
Wow.
Yeah.
We talked about when you can put weight on it. When do you think you'll be walking and or riding again?
Walking should be sometime in December. Gingerly, not like jumping jacks and running and all that stuff.
Because you did all that before.
Right.
You're not going to be able to get back to your marathon running.
Right.
Yeah.
I will be going to the gym as a lot of my physical therapy, just like on a treadmill. Just walking and being able to, the way the doctor put it, he said, possibly driving, probably not, but walking in mid-December. I have no timeline for being able to be on the bike yet. It will easily be next year sometime.
Okay, now the hard questions.
Mm-hmm.
What have you learned from this experience?
This is going to be a scoop on this video because I haven't really talked about this yet.
Oh, shiza.
The biggest thing I learned. So, this year was a pretty rough year for me on motorcycles.
Yes, it was.
3 major accidents, and there's a reason for that. Is because a lot of this year I wasn't really in the right headspace for even riding, due to White passing away and just life crap.
You've had a rough year.
Yeah,
all around.
So I was distracted, which I attribute to why I made poor decisions leading to all 3 of these major incidents happening this year. So don't ride distracted. If you have anything going on in your life, don't get on your bike. Just don't. I made the wrong choices this year.
That's deep, buddy.
I mean, it is what it is.
Well, that's a remarkable amount of self-awareness for you.
It just
It must have knocked some sense into you.
Yeah, well, I mean, there comes a time in your life where the stupid just has to stop happening as often.
Yeah, I'll let you know when I get
there. I said it once earlier in the year after I flipped the bike in Mojave that I was giving up stuntman duties. I absolutely am giving up stuntman duties now. Somebody else can do it. Maybe Matt.
Yeah, that's it. Matt
or Ed.
You're in. Yeah, Eddie, he's the one.
Yep.
He's got the right combination of bravery and stupidity.
Yes.
To take that over.
Yes.
Well, it's definitely, and I think a lot of people, this is some of the major comments were like, whoa, that really helped me reconsider, like, I'm going to buy an InReach, or I'm buying some new boots, like, I'm going to stop riding by myself so much. And I think So thank you for being willing to share your story, because I think a lot of people have, if it helps one person be safer, I think it's definitely worth the effort and
I agree.
And the vulnerability you're showing by sharing that.
Yeah, I don't tell the story just for the sake of, hey, look at me or anything like that, or trying to show off. I genuinely want to, like you said, if we can prevent one person from making the wrong choices and going out there and getting really hurt. Mm-hmm. I mean, you saw his video. We weren't writing anything difficult. Sometimes shit just happens. And it's a fall that has happened to all of us 100 times before and nothing happens. It only takes once. So just be prepared that it's not always going to go your way.
Mm-hmm. So, man, you're so good at segueing into my questions. What advice do you have for other riders based on this experience?
Don't ride without an inReach unless you are absolutely 100% confident in your abilities, and even then, sometimes not. Don't ride alone. And always take a first aid kit with you and have at least cursory amount of training knowing how to use it.
That's good advice. Are you going to make any changes based on this experience or your experiences this year? You just mentioned one.
Yep. I am going to be making changes. I'm not going to be riding very difficult stuff on the large bike anymore. I just can't. I have a 450X also. That's my dirt bike. That's my trail bike. And I absolutely will still be doing stuff on that bike. One, because I grew up doing that. That's what I'm used to. It's a much lighter bike, and I know how it reacts. I'm a solid mediocre rider on the trail bike.
You are solidly mediocre.
Yeah. The big bike just hurts too much when it falls over, and it's heavy and it's hard to pick up. And I'm still going to be touring on it. I'll still be doing dirt and gravel roads, but it will not be a BDR bike. If I attempt another BDR, it's going to be on a much smaller bike.
Yeah.
So big changes for this next year. That's plus the channel is going back to hobby status instead of like hitting it really hard. But most of these people already know that because I've kind of announced it. So.
Well, I will say, I'm not that I went through it, but I was there.
Yeah. That you went through it.
I also don't think I'm going to be doing super difficult stuff on the heavier bikes as much anymore. That's why I have that 450L. So
yeah, you made the right choice.
Just seeing because if that had happened and you were riding that bike, I don't know that you would have gotten pinned under. It weighs half as much.
Right.
I mean, not quite half as much, but almost with all your gear.
Right.
It's a different story. So I don't know. Definitely something to think about.
Yeah.
Is there anyone that you haven't mentioned, or maybe you want to mention again, that you want to thank or give a shout out to throughout this whole experience?
The medical staff at Campbell River, my surgical staff, they were all just so nice and kind, and their bedside manner was just the medical care that I received in Canada is unlike anything I've ever had here in the States. Very, very good. When somebody from out of Canada gets injured up there, there are financial challenges come along with that.
That is a big question people have had too.
So
that kind of answers it.
But yeah, as far as people I want to thank, definitely the medical staff, and even more so than them, the volunteer firefighters and EMTs and that paramedic that showed up so quickly.
Yeah.
And just
they were there fast.
Had their stuff together and just got it taken care of. Man, just amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Well, and I'm really happy to hear that the staff was so good at the hospital, because I felt a lot of guilt about abandoning you to have to go through all this by yourself. But like we talked about, securing you a ride home was probably more important at that point. But God, I can't imagine having to go through all that by yourself. So I'm glad you had a good team.
Yeah, it wasn't bad at all. And so him and I talk quite often. I get shown screenshots of shitty comments, and there have been a lot of flat-out shitty comments about the way that you guys perceived he handled things, and I'm here to tell you, the way you're thinking of all that is bullshit. You have no idea what this guy did for me. So it's the way he handled it was exactly the way it should have been handled, given the situation. So just stop.
I didn't do anything for you that you wouldn't have done for me.
Yeah, that's absolutely right.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely right. We got each other's back.
There you go. How can people support you if they want to?
Get a hold of Ian with Motorcycles and Pancakes, because apparently he's in charge of this grandmaster list of people that keep bringing me food and beer and stuff.
Yeah, and then Sean, ADV Oregon, he's also been really involved with that.
Yep.
So those two guys put that together.
That's honestly, I don't send me your money. I don't need your money. I'm fine. And I don't really need groceries. I can have groceries delivered and stuff like that. It's just for me right now, the easiest way for me to do that stuff is like heat and eat meals, which is what people have been bringing, like dinners and stuff like that. But more importantly, like my friends, like tonight, my friends come over, they just spend time with me, and it's, if nothing else, it's a distraction, because other than that, I'm here by myself with my dog and my cat, and I'm becoming a little bit of a hermit and becoming comfortable with it, which is scary.
Yeah, he tried to shoot me when I stepped on his lawn earlier. I was like, bro, it's me.
I know, and you missed all the tripwires too.
I did. Well, I've seen a Claymore before.
Right, yeah.
It's not new to me.
Yeah.
You can also follow Travis on Instagram if you want to check out. He's posting ridiculous things while he's home board, so I would recommend following him at Explore Adventure Moto.
Right.
And obviously on YouTube, his channel, which I'll link for you.
Yep.
Some of you may not be subscribed. And I just want to take this opportunity to touch on a point that you made earlier, because one really important conversation that this has sparked is people talking about wanting to get their first aid certification, their wilderness first aid, to know what to do in a situation like that. Because I've spent a lot of time thinking about, like, well, what if it had been a compound fracture? What if you hadn't been coherent? Like, there's a lot of things that went right in this situation that could have gone a lot worse. What if we hadn't been right next to the road? What if we had to get you out? Mm-hmm. And so I looked into putting together a class in October, but it's outside inside, which is what you want. You want to be doing it in the environment, but the weather's just getting so bad that I think I might try to set something up for the spring. So if you're local, probably Ben. I'm trying to work with Adventure Medics because they do a class setup. But if you're interested in that, just keep your eyes on the channel, and I'll post something about. It's a 2-day class, so if we need to put together a camp out or something and just do it all together, I don't know. But I definitely want to get that, because I thought I was safe traveling with my friend who was a former combat medic, but he's the one that keeps getting hurt. So maybe I should get some training myself. And
it's not just what I did in the very distant past. I've been, just for my own needs and my own wants, I've always kept up on my certifications for first aid, and more specifically wildland first aid. It adds a whole nother aspect to just regular old first aid and CPR. There are things that you cannot do when you're out in the woods. There are things that sometimes you must do, and you have to have the intestinal fortitude to actually do it.
Right.
Those classes will give you a very large leg up when you do this. See what I did there?
So if you're not local, find some training. We highly recommend it. And like Travis, like things like tourniquets, right? Like if you'd been bleeding, we would have had to deal with that. And the thoughts, the science on that have changed recently. Like used to be you didn't tourniquet anything you didn't want to lose, and that's not necessarily the plan anymore. It's based on their experiences in combat in Afghanistan.
It is.
Yeah. So they changed that recommendation. So get that training and be safe out there. And anything else you want to mention, Travis, before we end this really long video and eat more pizza?
I don't think so. I think we covered everything. Did we? Did we cover everything?
I don't know. You guys tell us. Any questions? I'm sure Trav will be lurking in the comments. He tends to do that. So just ask him if you got anything left over. But do me a favor, and I mean this in the nicest way possible, but maybe scan and see if your question's already been answered before you ask it again, because I pinned a comment about how we got the bike back, and I'm still getting questions about that because nobody reads the comments before they post. Yeah. Which, I'm guilty of that too, but yeah, I don't know. Common question.
Also, feel free to hit me up on Instagram, and you can message me on Instagram, Explore Adventure Moto, _, in between each word, and if you have a specific question, I will answer. I have been answering questions on there.
He's got nothing else to do.
So that's exactly right.
Yeah, so
you help me get me through my day. Wow. Grammar much.
He hasn't even had a beer yet.
No, I haven't. Oh, I need to change that.
Yeah, I'll grab it for you. All right. Well, thank you all for watching. Appreciate you. Appreciate your concern for Trav, and all your support of Trav and this channel and his channel and everything, and each other. That's what's more important. Like, if you take anything from this experience, just be ready to be there if somebody else has an issue, whether they're in your group or not. Like, take care of each other. And that's what I mean when I say, please do not forget to be excellent. to each other.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Stay hairy.
That reminds me, this is after the credits. Because you can see it in my video as I'm walking back after they put Trav in the ambulance, I'm laughing. And I can see how that would come across maybe as inappropriate, but it's because Matt shouted into the ambulance as he was filming, "Can we get a stay hairy?"
I don't remember that.
I was just like, come on, Trav, what the hell?
Did I say
Give
it?
us a stay hairy. I don't think you heard him.
No. Of course Matt says that.
It was really funny.
Thanks, Matt. That's awesome.
And wildly inappropriate, which describes Matt, so.
Yeah, but all of our humor is wildly inappropriate.
Yeah, I agree.
at all
That's
times.
why do you think I hired him to be my editor? He
Right.
gets me.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, for reals. Later. Can we get a stay hairy?
That is hilarious. I did not know that.